Well, this is going to be a really fun conversation. Hospitality and NFTs, restaurants adopting NFTs for the good of their business, for the good of their community, for the good of the chef and everybody involved in the process. David, I'm really happy to have you here with me now, but also to have your involvement as one of the speakers at NFT.NYC this year. I remember watching you and your partner with Gary Vee talk about this big idea of the Flyfish Club and everything that VCR Group wants to do in this industry, and just being captivated with your passion, your enthusiasm, and also just it felt to me like, wow, this is right. This is a great application of NFT utility. So for those that don't know you and the Flyfish Club, please introduce yourself and let folks know a bit about what you're working on.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me in. So I'm David Rodolitz, founder of VCR Group and Flyfish Club. VCR Group is our parent hospitality company that I formed with Gary Vaynerchuk, Josh Capon, and another colleague, Connor Hanlon. And the general idea behind our group, and what sets us apart as a hospitality company, is we're looking to leverage media and technology in all facets of everything we do to modernize and monetize different aspects of the food and beverage industry. So it's no secret that it's a challenging industry. It's a beautiful industry, but it's very challenging. You know, occupancy costs are very high, labor is very high, cost of goods are very high. So we needed to find a new way. And, you know, Flyfish Club was the first application for us. Gary came into my house in March of last year, kind of raising his hands and being all Gary, like, this is it. This is going to change the world. NFTs, we got to figure out, you know, what our entry into NFTs are for the hospitality industry. We wrote up about 10 different ideas, and we, you know, had this aha moment that we circled, you know, this idea of converting a membership into ownership. You know, members clubs have existed forever. They're wonderful. I'm a part of many of them, but essentially all you're doing is renting a social experience from somebody that's creating a social experience. There's an initiation, an application, you know, a vetting process. And then every year, you know, you pay a fee and you get access to that place. And there's nothing wrong with that. For us, we wanted to innovate, and we're leveraging NFTs as a way to authenticate ownership. So this isn't about a collectible. This is purely a utility-based NFT project where the NFT serves as the authentication of ownership of membership to Flyfish Club. Now, as the owner or the member, you could just use it forever, which is what we want for people to do. You could sell it. You could transfer it to somebody else. You could lease it. So it really is completely controlled by the token holder. And we think that's just a completely remarkable innovation and a great value proposition for our community. So it really just kind of aligns us and connects us, and we're all in this together, and it's the first of its kind, and we're really excited about it.
Well, I think you should be. I was saying before we started our conversation here that we're streaming, you know, in many ways, you're a forerunner as an organization, right? You're setting a tone for what can be with restaurants and all things hospitality. You just said something about leasing. I think my question to you on leasing is, was that one of the 10 ideas in the beginning, or that materialized over time? And where did that idea percolate from? Because it matches the idea of leasing land in the metaverse. It matches the idea of sharing royalty fees if you buy music on a site like Royal. And so I'm wondering, was this something that materialized over time, or was it an early idea?
Leasing wasn't a part of the original 10 ideas. And leasing was honestly a very small subset of one of the, you know, value propositions to our community when designing Flyfish Club. So a lot of people, you know, even though we've preached that we want people to use the club and we want them to be there, and hopefully you're local and, you know, you're treating this place like your new home base. A lot of people, I think, unfortunately purchase a token as a leasing mechanism, you know, where that was supposed to serve as just a very small ancillary benefit to joining the community. And the idea behind it, where it was conceptualized, was, you know, a lot of our members are well-traveled. A lot of our members go out of town. A lot of our members might not be in New York over the summer. And we just thought it was an interesting way to, keep the club busy with interesting people, and let other people get utility out of it when our members might not be able to enjoy it for a certain period of a year. So this was just a way of creating more discovery and getting that utility filter to be exercised. This wasn't, designed as a passive income strategy or a speculative investment or for people to buy 10 tokens and just lease them out. That wasn't what we were thinking. I know it's a lot of what other people are thinking. And we're hoping that that's not how, most people choose to participate in Flyfish Club. It really is just another layer to let people that might not be members yet find out about the club, get, have some sort of connectivity to us and them, to dabble in it, to try it, while our members, get to exercise their ability of it being an asset and it's theirs and they could do something with it. Maybe they aren't sure if they want to sell it. Maybe maybe they bought a second house, in another state, or maybe they have to take a new job and they have to go across the country, but they don't know their full-time plans yet. They don't know if they're going to be back in a year. So this was a way to, dabble in something without fully committing, to selling your token and then, having to worry about maybe buying it back down the road.
I think there's a lot of people that Airbnb their home for the same reason, right? They bought the home to live there. They want to keep the house, but they're got to move for work or their kid's school or whatever it is. And it's like, well, we don't want to sell the house. Let's Airbnb it.
That's right.
I understand that's a pretty unique addition to the utility. Let me ask you about the diversity in the NFT world. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of people raising their hands and saying, this is what we're doing in restaurants. This is what we're doing in hotels. Does it feel lonely at this point? Do you feel like there's other peers that are also coming up with creative ideas, that iron sharpening iron, and you're like, oh man, that's a cool idea. We could maybe do that next year? Or where do things stand?
It definitely felt very lonely last year. And I think since we came out, it was very important for us to be first. I strategized with my team, and Gary and I was like, Gary, you gotta do your thing and get on TV and claim ownership over this. It's really important, because I think we're really thinking about things at a deep level, and I think that we're going to execute at a high level. And I want us to be the first that claim that, because I think we're going to do a good job, and I want to set the foundation for hopefully others to follow. So in the beginning, everybody was just like, what is going on? Once we launched, every publication reached out. There was a lot of good hype and press, and and there was just a lot of mystique around it, and people were a little bit like, whoa, like, what are you doing here? Is this the new way? I don't know if it's a new way or not. I do think that it's going to be very good for our community. And we're starting to see other people definitely explore what this could look like. A lot of people have reached out to us to see if we could, JV it with them, or white label a product, or consult. And we're being very careful with it, because this community is small right now. And, we know that we could control to the best of our ability Flyfish Club, and there's a lot of moving parts and things out of our control, but we at least, if we put our best foot forward every day and work really hard, we could control, 90% of the different touch points and variables. Other people's projects, it gets a little bit more complicated. So we haven't, put our name on anything else or decided to partner with anybody else, but we are giving some, just advice to other friends and operators and chefs and restaurateurs, because we do think that this community is about, collaboration and, more people getting involved and rooting each other on. So we're starting to hear more and more things. Tom Colicchio and Spike Mendelsohn entered the space. We're fond of those gentlemen. And more we'll start to see, things surface. But like anything, you need to have a very thought out plan. I think unfortunately there's a lot of negative, actions that are taking place in the NFT and crypto world, and cash grabs and scams and this and that. And, you just got to make sure that you're doing it with the right intent, and you have a really good idea of, an offering that aligns you and your members, and, is a good value proposition for everybody.
There's two different NFTs that you brought to market, an
Sure.
FF and an FFO, with the primary differential being access to a special room. Do you want
Yep.
to share those two
Yeah,
NFTs that you
sure.
created and maybe reasons why people chose one or the other that aren't
Yep.
just financial, obviously?
So, I mean, behind me, if this is a live video, screen, you could see it. Back that guy, that's the tuna, that's the Flyfish token, and that's the majority token. And that was honestly where the club started, with just one token. And the idea was that gives you access, you own it, and we're creating a robust bar, a large, dining room, and hopefully an outdoor space. That's what you'll get access to when joining Flyfish Club. My partners and I, we all love sushi. We all love, eating that way. And then we also, this wasn't a part of our roadmap, but we formed a partnership with Masa Ito and Kevin Kim, who are two, very decorated sushi masters. And they were working on their namesake restaurant called Ito for 3 years or so, with a colleague of ours. And through COVID and just, life, kind of turning, that got put on a shelf in the middle of last year. We had a mutual friend that connected us, and long story short, we got involved, partnered with those guys, bought half the business, and are now business partners with Masa and Kevin. And we've opened up Ito in Tribeca, which is, in our eyes, the best omakase experience in New York City right now. So with the resources and the partnership with Masa and Kevin, and just, really just absolutely loving this cuisine, we thought, let's also have an omakase room at Flyfish. So that's what created this whole Flyfish omakase token. And that is the whole club is exclusive. There's only 3,035 tokens, but of the 3,035, there's only about 300 and I think it's 85 omakase tokens, which is, less than 10% of the total pool is that. So that is really scarce. That token will give you access to everything the Flyfish token gets you, in addition to this private little omakase room nestled in the back of the club. And it's not going to be the same as Ito. It's going to be programmed and curated, in collaboration of Masa, Kevin, and then our other two chef partners of VCR and Flyfish Club, which is Josh Capon and Connor Hanlon. The four of those, awesome chef guys are going to do their thing, and we'll come up with our interpretation of an omakase that will differ from what we have at Ito. Within that Flyfish omakase token, we started to have a little bit of fun, and we're like, all right, the person that buys this, it carries a little bit higher price point. And we just felt like that person might want to geek out on the artwork and the NFT, and there might be some, gamification and, the market kind of creating their own supply and demand within the Flyfish omakase token. We didn't want the entire project to be like that. Like you see most other projects, there's different characters, like Gary's project, V-Friends, there's all these great different characters, and, people have determined which ones they think are more special or not. And then they have their own, supply and demand to them. Being that our club is all about utility and access on the forefront, and a collectible as like a very small piece of it, not the other way around, we didn't want to do that. But we thought within the Flyfish omakase, we could design 7 different types of nigiri, and really have fun with the artwork, flex a little bit, and, let these people that are spending a little bit more money, they might have a preference over the uni or the chutoro or, the hamachi or whatever it may be. And we thought that was a fun way to represent who you are, what your passions are, what you like more than something else. So that's why we did it in that small subset. So within that, there's 7 different, pieces with their own artwork. So the collection of all the entire collection is 8 different types of tokens. 7 are under the Flyfish omakase, 7 different pieces of artwork, but all that have the same utility. And then the Flyfish is one design piece of artwork token, which all has the same utility. And the difference is only between the Flyfish and the Flyfish omakase have different utility. Does that make sense?
Well, it's really easy to understand, everybody,
Cool.
if you just go to the website.
There you go.
So if you want more clarity, go to flyfishclub.com/membership. I'm really intrigued with what you've already done as a team. I have a lot of respect for the decisions that you've made up to this point. And I feel like it's going to be really beneficial to the entire hospitality industry to have such a solid team of business people, and in this case, chefs, to serve the customers and the members of the community. So my hat's off to you. I salute you guys. And we're thankful to have you part of NFT.NYC.
Oh, we're excited.
We're going to see you next month.
Doing a panel. We're excited. We'll be there and excited to meet other people in the community. So thank you for having us today and for all the support. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody next month.